Welcome to Steady Steps Music, the channel where we learn music one small, easy step at a time, where every lesson builds on the one before it. I've been teaching for over 20 years, and one thing I hear from most people who want to learn music but don't know where to start is, I don't think I'm talented enough, or I'm just not musical. Talent isn't necessarily something you're born with. It's something you can develop. You discover your musical abilities by playing songs that you enjoy, practicing things that challenge you, and learning to love the process. Let's take some small, steady steps together. Let's get started. Knowing the parts of your guitar is important. Being able to understand what to do and where to put your hands and know how to play in general all comes down to being familiar and comfortable with your instrument. Where is the fretboard on your guitar? What is a headstock? What is a bridge? That's what we're going to cover today. The guitar developed over a long period of time. It's generally considered to have taken its modern form in Spain in the 19th century. From there, it evolved into acoustic guitars like you see today, along with electric guitars and other variations that are out there. What we're going to do in this video is name the different parts of the guitar so that when someone describes them to you, you know exactly what they're talking about. Let's start with the parts that you will interact with the most. When I pick up the guitar, usually, the part I grab is the neck. The neck is the long part that sticks up from the body being down here. On the neck, the part where you actually contact with the strings and push down to, that's the fingerboard, also called the fretboard. On my guitar here, it's this little extra black piece on top of the lighter color piece. So you have the neck, you have the fretboard / fingerboard, which is the same thing. Now, I kind of like to use the analogy of a human body with the guitar. So it's kind of an awkward shaped human body, if you think about it. But you have a neck, you have the headstock up here, headstock, and then you have the body, the big part down here. Up on the headstock, you have your tuners. The full assembly, all this silver looking metal piece right here is called a tuner. So it includes the part that you put your finger on and the little peg that sticks up that's called a tuning peg. That's where you actually push the string through. We'll have a lesson specifically on how to put strings on your guitar, how to string your guitar. But for now, we'll just kind of talk about the tuning pegs as being where your strings anchor on one side. Let's talk about the strings. Historically speaking, strings were actually animal parts. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but it was called gut strings. So these days, it's a lot better. Everything's made of nylon, steel, or other types of materials. These guitar strings, I think, are actually coated in bronze. So lots of different materials there. Strings run the length of the guitar, suspended between 2 points. The first point is called the nut, right where the neck meets the headstock up here, this plastic piece. It's made of other things as well. It can be made of nylon and ceramic. It can be made of metal. There's other types of nuts, but you commonly see a plastic piece like this. It's where the string sits after being anchored at the tuning peg. It comes from the tuning peg to the nut. On the nut, it sits in a slit so that it sits in the right place on your guitar. And you can think of it like the 0 fret. So when a string rings open, you just pluck a string. It rings all the way from down here all the way up to here. If I'm going to place my finger on the first fret, there it is on the first fret, third fret, right? But 0 fret is an open string. The way that the strings work is when you shorten the string, they get higher in pitch. The full length of the string without being changed at all is when you have it open. And you shorten the string by pressing down, then you have a shorter string, right? So you have this length here when it's open. You'd have this length here if you pressed on that particular fret, much shorter. The second place where the string rests, it's called the bridge. It's this whole assembly down here. So it includes on this guitar, this piece of wood, these little pegs that are called the bridge pegs, and this little piece right here called the saddle. The strings actually rest on the saddle, which is connected to the bridge. So you can think about the guitar being suspended between 2 points, being the nut and the bridge. Now, oftentimes when someone's talking about this part of the guitar, they may just say bridge, they may not say saddle. So when you're saying strum near the bridge, that's what they mean is down here. If you've been watching this series, you already know that frets are actually the spaces between these metal bars on your guitar. So the fret bars themselves run across the fingerboard and divide it into those spaces that are called frets. Pressing your finger into one of those spaces against the fingerboard is how you fret the string, thereby shortening its length and changing the pitch. And a collection of fretted strings makes a chord, like we talked about before. Now, a lot of guitars will have 2 strap pegs. This guitar actually has one right here, as you can see, and it has one down here, so that you put the strap on each peg, and then you can wear it over your shoulder. Now, if you have an acoustic guitar, you also have a sound hole. This is the round opening in the body of the guitar. Acoustic guitars work by having a hollow body that sound can go inside when you pluck it, reverberate around in that hollow body, and then come back out in the hole and be projected out for people to hear. Electric guitars don't have that. They have magnetic pickups like these, and they also have different knobs that adjust tone and volume. You have pickup selectors like this one. You have an input jack there. This would be a strap peg on an electric that doesn't plug into that, plugs into here instead. Second strap peg for this guitar is right here. Some acoustic guitars are acoustic electric, like this one. So it actually has an input jack right here on this peg on the bottom that helps you to put the strap for your guitar that you wear when you're standing up. That goes right here. But you also can plug into that input jack right there. So this is an acoustic electric, and you can see here this is a pickup housing for this particular guitar, so I could play it amplified, not just acoustically. In music, a lot of what we do is just add labels to things that have gone unlabeled. So when you are adding these labels, now you have a handy way to talk about them. No pun intended. And that's where real understanding starts. We did it with the musical alphabet, adding letters to tones, and we're going to start adding numbers to your fingers. So that way we can talk about them quickly without having to say index, pinky, ring finger, middle finger, etc. On your fretting hand, so for a right-hander, this is your left hand. If you were left-handed, it would be your right hand. So on your fretting hand, the part that actually goes up on the guitar and pushes notes down, index finger is finger 1. Middle finger is finger 2. Ring finger is finger 3. Pinky is finger 4. We do this for the sake of speed and explaining and describing which finger to use, but also, as you'll see on this chart that I'm about to put on the screen, that's the easiest way to describe which finger to use on a chord chart. Now, your thumb on your fretting hand doesn't get a number, but it does get the letter T. So when you see a T on a chart or on a diagram, that means use your thumb of your fretting hand. We'll get into how that works later with certain specific chords. Just know that if you ever see T, it means T for thumb. Now, as for your strumming hand, there is a naming system for that hand too. We're not going to pick that up quite yet. For now, all you need to know is that you're mainly using your thumb, or if you want, you can start using a guitar pick to strum. I recommend in the beginning phase using your thumb so you can get used to the feel of picking. So when we say finger 2 on fret 2, you know exactly what that means. And it's going to come in handy now. Right, you made it. This is D major, and this is a good one. Now that you have D major, you'll have 4 chords in your chord vocabulary. G major, E minor, C major, and now D major. This makes up one of the more common progressions in all of music. These 4 chords together allow you to play a lot of different songs right off the bat, so it's worth learning this one. Here's how you'll play it. You're not going to play the lowest 2 strings, the low E and A. Skip those. Finger 1 goes 2nd fret of the G string. Finger 3 goes 3rd fret of the B string. Finger 2 goes on the high E string on the 2nd fret. Strum from the D string down through the high E. 4 strings in total, and that's D major. Something you can start practicing right away is switching between these chords. If you have G major, strum that one first, then go to E minor, then C major, now D major. And you've played those 4 chords. You just played a chord progression. So get used to that sequence, and then you can start playing songs that have that same chord progression, because then that's the underlying musical component that goes under the singing, under the melody. Here's one extra little bonus while we're here with D major. Once you have the shape of D major, try adding finger 4 on fret 3 of the high E string. Everything else stays the same. That small change gives you a slightly different sound that you may have heard in other songs. It's called a sus chord, and we'll get into what sus chords are later, but this just gives you something else you can do. When you have a chord, you can add a finger to it like this. Sometimes it sounds really good, like this chord, Dsus4. That's it for today. Another small, manageable step in your musical journey. If you find this content helpful, please give this video a like down below, share it if you feel someone you know would enjoy it, and subscribe to the Steady Steps Music channel for more lessons just like this. If you'd like to grow your skills faster in a private lesson with me, head on over to steadystepsmusic.com to book a free introductory lesson. See you in the next one.